princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. Today we have a sort of a slightly different video that I almost didn't do, but I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about it and share it with you. I want to talk about the re-release and then poof, gone, vanished, of the Melt Muerte palette. This palette was released, oh, forgive me for not knowing specifically. It was kind of 2019, was it? Maybe 2020. I think 2019 was the original release of this palette for Melt. We're going to look at it. We're going to swatch it in two different lightings, and we are going to do the demo of this look that you see right here. And I have some very specific things that I want to say about it. At the time, and yeah, about 2019, I did not purchase this palette. I actually picked it up on the re-release a week or so ago. The reason I did not purchase it is I had kind of had it up to here with Melt. I really loved their stacks, but at the time I wasn't very impressed by their palettes, and I skipped a few. I missed She's in Parties. I missed quite a few while I was kind of folding my arms and going harumph and not buying Melt. And my biggest problem with the Muerte palette is that I didn't like the shimmer shades. They felt a little hard to work with. When they re-released this puppy, they didn't say if they had reformulated it, but I think they did. So we have to talk about it. I want to look at swatches and such. Let me first say, of course, Muerte means death, and that makes Melt sound like a very morbid brand. They're not at all. When we see Melt, they did the Mariposa palette, as you guys recall, which was about loved ones lost. And they did a big Beetlejuice thing, which of course talks about spirits and passings and things. I do not feel that Melt is morbid. I think they just really explore the kind of philosophical relationship between life and death. And that sounds way too collegiate for a makeup video, but I find their take on things really interesting. The Melt aesthetic is very unique and unlike any other in the industry, I really think. So I find them kind of fascinating. And I also think, I'm really glad I got this. I paid $58 for it. That's how much it was on re-release. And then it was gone. Did you guys get it? It's gone. Let's look at the color story, and you can see if you think it reminds you of Muerte or death. Take a look at the shades there. There are, 3, I think, shimmer shades, and I did not like the way they performed last time. I didn't find them buttery at all, and this time I do. And I went, as you can see in our demo, I went with a green look, but there's so much to choose from. And even this dark black shade right here, I use that in the demo. It's really kind of workable. You can really build the matte shades, although some are a little bit hesitant. But I was really disappointed initially, the first release, by the shimmer shades and not this time. So that's kind of exciting to say. But I have that really hit and miss history with Melt. If you do look at the cover, though, and it is half a skull, it's gorgeous. I mean, the Muerte palette is gorgeous. I'm really glad I have it in my collection. When they brought it back, I thought they were bringing it back, for like 3 months, not for 3 days. So I want to know if you guys got it. But while we talk about it, you can decide whether or not you're sorry you missed it or glad you grabbed it. Let's take a look at it in two different lightings first. Here it is on my arm in studio lighting. Look at these really powerful and beautiful shades. And those shimmer shades that I think this time swatched really, really well. I have not experimented with that red side of the palette, which concerns me from a hay fever standpoint, but I'll get in there and try it, especially in upcoming videos. I stuck with green this time because it's just kind of the shades that I like. Let's take this palette outside into the warm California sunshine and bring some death into the light. Here we go with it on my arm, the Muerte palette on my arm in the warm California sunshine. Take a look at that, how beautiful it really is. These are highly pigmented shadows, and in the hands of talented makeup artists, they are pretty sensational. So what will they be like in the hands of a meager little typer, beauty editor journalist like myself? Well, we're going to find out right now. Stay right there. Let's see how I feel about actually finally really purchasing this palette. And let's see if you guys will be happy you got it or sad you missed it. I have a collection here of little Sonia G brushes that we're going to be using. And I'll make sure to put the shade names on screen, so watch for that. Okay, I am going to start, this is a very colorful palette, so I'm going to start right here Let's see what we think. Okay, not too strong. I didn't tap off the brush, but I kind of appreciate that. I don't know if I want a seafoam green that, I didn't tap off the brush too much, but I don't know that I want a seafoam green that is too pigmented. So I'm okay with that. If you prefer a very bold color, however, I could see that might annoy you. I don't know. Let me go in here and tap off even a little bit less and see what we think if I just kind of darken that a little bit. If I'm going with this kind of a green look, which would be very, very appropriate for a Melt palette. And I'm going to take another Sonia G brush and even go under the eye just a little bit with that same shade. I am most curious, as I told you guys, about how the kind of shimmer shades perform. I'm going to go in now with this darker green. Looks like we're doing kind of a green look, I guess. I never plan ahead. And see how that looks on the outside of the eye. Very, very pretty. One of the prettier kind of forest green shades I think I have in my collection. So I will give that to this palette. That is for sure. Okay. What do you think? Not bad, right? Okay, let's try this very, very, very dark black color, and I'll see what we can do if we darken up with it. I am taking off a lot of the pigment. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the mattes stick a little bit. You know, it's what I thought it was. It's not bad though. And certainly if you're a makeup artist, you can do a lot with these, but you know, you have to kind of work with them a little bit. Let's take this green, since I'm doing kind of a green look, and see. I'll tell you this, I did not hear that they reformulated it, but this is coming onto my finger and swatching a lot more easily. It was almost like with the original, and again, they're not saying that they reformulated anything, but it's almost like with the original you had to struggle with it even to get your finger into it. But you guys can let me know what you think, if you agree with that below. Okay, and then I'm going to go into, I want to try another shade. That comes off on the brush really, really nicely, and just kind of see. Yes, I'm having a lot better color payoff with the kind of shimmer shades in this palette than I ever did before. So I will say that. All right, that's kind of, you know what, it's kind of pretty actually. I'm not completely mad at it. I mean, you know, I just don't go for the very colorful palettes, but I mean, that's certainly a fun look. Let me put some mascara on and let's talk about how we feel about Melt Muerte. Okay, look, that's a beautiful eye look. You guys know that I love neutrals, and I do this with Melt all the time. These are too dark for me. This is too much for me. This is too much color. And then I do a look with a Melt palette, and I absolutely fall in love with it. I'm thrilled to have this in my collection, and I'm really glad that I kind of did this green eye look. It's just a very different, very fun, and very much alive for a palette that looks at life through its relationship to death, which sounds a little bit overly philosophical for makeup, but I believe that the folks at Melt would agree with me. It's just, I think it's actually full of life. I'm really glad I got this palette. Did you guys pick it up? Do you have it previously? And if you have the previous palette, were you able to compare the shimmer shades? Because to me, though they didn't say they redid them, I felt a totally different experience with them. The mattes being a little bit budging, just a little bit, that was the same. But I really don't have too many complaints there. You can't, especially about this color story. I mean, this is really a fun look. And I love it with this kind of bare, kind of neutral lip, which is one of their lip pencils with just a gloss over the top. So I actually really kind of like it. I want to know everything that you guys know about this, and if you're sorry that you missed it, it appears to be gone again. It honestly was on their website for less than a week. Was there a huge demand for it? And if there was, there should be a lot of you in comments who picked it up. So definitely let me know. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I sure hope that you did. And if you haven't already done so, my goodness, make sure that you subscribe to my channel so that I don't miss any of you in the upcoming videos. And just so I'm not lonely, come on over and give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok too. See you all soon. Bye-bye.